Hey guys, and welcome back to Latasha Hewitt Homes. Thanks for stopping by the channel. We talk about all things home. And in this video, you're going to watch my daughter and I tackle something we have never ever done before. And that is paint a room by ourselves. Yes, she has the only room in the house that has not been painted in the over 5 years we have been here. And we decided that we were ready for the challenge. Now the question is, were we really ready? And how did this room turn out in the end? If you want to find out, stay tuned. Okay, guys, so the first step was to just take down everything that was on the walls in her room. And these vines that were up here were from her previous little room makeover. And as you can see those little areas on the wall where the paint had lifted up. So this was one of the reasons why we needed to paint the room in the first place. So that was just part of the process, taking everything off of the walls and getting it ready for our painting. Next part of our prepping was to tape around the ceiling. We had to fix that up a little bit, but we'll show you how that turned out in the end. Next, it was time to move on to filling the holes with some caulk. And there were quite a few of them because of the different things that have been hanging on the walls in different places and changing the room around here and there. And so this was quite the process for us and just showing Kaden the process of smoothing it over so that it's easier when we had to go back and then sand everything. So eventually all the caulk was on the walls, everything was drying. And we were covering up old stickers that had been pulled off, and the goal was to make it as smooth as possible because once it was dry, then we could sand it down. And that was the fun part for a little while. But as we were sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding, it seemed like it took forever. And my rule of thumb for Kaden was, as long as you see white stuff coming off of the wall, that means that you still have a little more to go. And so I was working one wall, she was working another wall. Eventually I joined her on that wall and we were just using that sandpaper, and that sandpaper worked really well, by the way. So if you ever have to do this, just get you some pieces of that sandpaper, and it was definitely doing the job. And I just had that little, that touch of just rubbing my hands across each piece to make sure that it was as smooth as it could be, because I understood how important that was to make sure the paint looked smooth on the walls. So I really thought we did a pretty good job with this part of our painting process. And eventually we were able to look at the walls. It looked pretty smooth. And then it was time for us to transition to paint. This, my friends, is the color that Kaden chose. It is gray, and she picked it out right away when we went to Lowe's. And of course, since I was an amateur, we had to bring Dad in for a little crash course on what we needed to do for this whole painting process, which was the most nerve-wracking part of the process. He was showing us how to pour the paint and even how to wipe up the excess paint with the paintbrush so that nothing kind of went wasted and put things back. And so there were a lot of helpful tips. And of course, we were paying attention, but I have to admit we were so anxious to get started that we probably let a few of those tips go down the drain. But then we really started listening when it was time to put the paint on the walls.
On the top, but I didn't do that yet. Make sure you cover all the white spots.
So about how many rolls, just until we see the white spots disappear?
Yeah, it disappears, and you'll get your own rhythm when you start. And you just keep going.
So after a little bit more of instruction from Dad, Kaden felt like she was ready to take the brush into the roller, I should say, into her own hands and began applying it to the wall. Of course, it looked like so much fun that I had to get my own roller and join her on the other side. And we were making pretty quick work out of covering this wall, making sure there were no white spots. And we thought we had found our rhythm, and we had a pretty good process, and we tried to keep it up. But of course, along the way, we were noticing, we went down too far on the bottom, and I think I nicked this part. So the paint was just kind of going everywhere in some cases because. But at the end of day one, we were pretty satisfied with the way things looked. As it began to dry, we could see that it looked like a pretty even coat and not bad for a couple of amateurs. And one of the interesting things about the room is she has LED lights. We didn't want to take them down because she still wanted to use them. She's so excited. So we ended up like painting over them at some point, and so she kind of had to go over them with a wet cloth to expose the lights, but she didn't seem to mind doing that, and in the end it worked out pretty good. The next day, it was time to start kind of cleaning up and doing a lot of the touch-ups. So I kind of removed the tape from the bottom, noticing some spots that were white, and I was able to go back over it with a brush. Didn't really record that part because it was just so tedious. Then I was kind of surveying some of the mistakes we made, such as not making sure the drop cloths were thick enough, so some of the paint kind of spilled on the carpet. We were not happy. Well, after a few days of letting the room kind of sit, we decided we wanted to surprise Kaden. Amara and I wanted to surprise Kaden with going ahead and finally putting her room back together before she got home from school. So we were putting the furniture back in place, wiping off all the surfaces because, frankly, from all of that sanding, there was still like a lot of dust in the air. So we were wiping down her desk and prepping it for something very special that she has been wanting for a very long time in her room. And so I was trying to move things back into the way that I think she told me she wanted her room. And we were hanging up the mirror over her dresser, which was an adventure in and of itself. But we were so pleased with ourselves because I don't really like to do a lot of measuring. I just kind of like to eyeball it. And so we went through our process, found the holes, tried to make sure they were the right distance apart, put the 2 nails in, and I told Amara, let's just go with it. We wanted to do it quickly. We didn't want her to come home while we were in the process of doing all this. And do you know that on the first try, guys, it worked. Of course, we celebrated. Then we kept on moving because there was more work that needed to be done in terms of moving things back into the room and into their proper place. And that was the other thing. Oh, is she going to like it here? Is she going to like it there? Because, frankly, Kaden is very particular, and she would tell you the same. But we did our best, and everything was coming in. We moved back in her bookcase and put that over beside her desk. And then we were just cleaning up different things within her room, made up her bed, freshly washed sheets, freshly washed comforter. And actually, this was a great opportunity for me to be able to work with both of my daughters, one with the painting and the other one with setting up the room. And we really had a good time. And the whole time we were just chatting about what we thought her reaction would be when she saw the room. But this was just a really fun activity, and we really liked the way the room was coming together as we were putting different things together. Now, this was the key piece. Kaden has wanted this Vanity because she's a girly girl. She wants to do her skincare and all of that, and she wanted this mirror, this vanity mirror in her room. So it just so happened that it came that day, and she knew it was coming. So we went ahead and put it together and set it up on the desk, turned it on, and we just knew she was going to be so excited about this. This is something that she saw on Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the description in case you want one for yourself. But she absolutely loves this mirror. Let me tell you, she loves it so much. And one of the things she loves about it is it has different settings on it. So when she's doing her skincare, she can really see her face in different ways. Or if she wants to put on a little light makeup, she can kind of see what it looks like. And Amara was adding the other little piece to the mirror. And then it was time to kind of add some finishing touches with the rug. And then, my friends, it's time to see the finished room makeover. Check it out. Well, this is around the time we thought you would be seeing that surprise reveal for Kaden, but it didn't quite work out the way we thought. However, she was really excited to see her new room, and we were excited to be a part of making it special for her. All right, guys, there you have it. That's the finished product. How do you think we did? I'd rate ourselves kind of maybe an 8 out of 10. Of course, everything wasn't perfect. Was not happy about the paint on the carpet. Was not happy about those few nicks of paint on the ceiling. But to the naked eye, you really can't see it that much. So I think for our first time doing it on our own, we did pretty well. And most importantly, my daughter Kaden loves it, and every time she goes into her room now, she just says, "Mom, I just love my room." Now, of course, she made a few tweaks. That green blanket that you saw in the finale videos now replaced by this pink one. She did not want the K on her nightstand anymore. I guess she's too old to have initials now. And the green lights we chose for the LED lights are now replaced by red, so that's her vibe, and that's okay with me. Well, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up there. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and on to the next project. See you guys next time.